This week's parsha is the most important parsha in the entire Torah. You may ask, why is this week's parsha the most important in the entire Torah? Well, let me tell you. Parashah Re'eh has a blessing and a curse. We read about the land and that we are to eat consecrated food in Jerusalem. We are cautioned against adopting foreign religious practices and against listening to false prophets. We read about tithes, the remission of loans in the sabbatical year, and about the 3 festivals. But none of that is why this is the most important parsha in the Torah. The reason this is the most important parsha is because it contains a contradiction that unpacks a deeper understanding of our relationship with Hashem. In chapter 15, towards the end of the parsha, we read, "There shall be no needy among you, since Hashem will bless you in the land if only you heed Hashem." Beautiful idea. We are Hashem's children, and as long as we follow the mitzvot, Hashem will care for us and ensure we all have sufficient. But just a few verses later, we read, "If, however, there is a needy person among you, one of your kin in any of your settlements in the land that Hashem is giving you, do not harden your heart and shut your hand against your needy kin. Rather, you must open your hand and lend whatever is sufficient to meet the need." Well, which is it? If Hashem ensures there are no needy among us, then there can't be a needy person who needs our helping hand. And if there are needy persons among us, Hashem's promise that there shall be no needy among you isn't true. How could both of these verses be true? They seem mutually exclusive. Rashi brings an approach to resolve this seeming a contradiction. He says that these 2 verses describe different possible versions of reality. There's an ideal state and a less ideal state. There's how things should work in theory and how things will work in practice. Okay, I could get behind that, but I think this raises another question. Which of these 2 verses describes the ideal state and which the less than ideal one? One understanding would be that we heeding Hashem's mitzvot and Hashem taking care of everything and ensuring there are no needy among us would be ideal. And we having to care for the needy is the compromise. Or maybe it's the other way around. How would that work? How would us having to support the needy be the ideal state? Remember where this parsha takes place and who Moshe is talking to. This is a generation that grew up in the wilderness eating manna from heaven. There were no needy among the nation because Hashem provided for their every need these last 40 years. And while that may have been necessary in the desert, that's not the way it's supposed to work. Hashem ceased creating the world on the 7th day, leaving it incomplete and inviting man to play an active role in bringing the world to perfection. The ideal state is not one where Hashem takes care of everything and all we do is receive. To bring about perfection, we need to become givers. Perhaps that's the message here. As we're about to enter into the promised land, the manna is going to cease, and we're going to have to play an active role, and that role will include supporting those who are not able to sustain themselves. Okay. The first approach says that the ideal state is that we all keep Hashem's mitzvot, and as a reward, Hashem takes care of everyone's needs. But if we don't behave right, then there will be needy among us that will need to be cared for. The second approach is that we need to transform from a nation who sits back and receives everything from heaven into a nation who partners with Hashem to bring the world to perfection. But perhaps there's a third understanding. Perhaps there's no contradiction here at all. Maybe these 2 verses need to be read as one continuous verse. The second verse being the mechanism in which the first verse is realized. There shall be no needy among you, since Hashem will bless you in the land if only you heed Hashem. And what is it that we need to heed? If, however, there is a needy person among you, one of your kin in any of your settlements in the land that Hashem is giving you, do not harden your heart and shut your hand against your needy kin. Rather, you must open your hand and lend whatever is sufficient to meet the need. Perhaps Hashem is saying that if you heed my instruction to open your hand and lend whatever is needed, then there will be no needy in your land, because you have made them no longer needy. We become the agent through which Hashem's promise comes true. We can't just be receivers, we need to be givers, but even more so, we need to be partners with Hashem to bring the world to perfection. That is one reason why this is the most important parsha in the entire Torah. But the other reason is that the most important piece of Torah is whatever piece of Torah you have in front of you right now. Shabbat Shalom and Am Yisroel Chai.